EduVerse PD Podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions, your on-the-go professional development. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the EduVerse PD Podcast. In this episode, we're stepping into the heart of inclusivity with a powerful theme: cultural narratives in the classroom, building bridges through biographical learning. This thought-provoking article by Pano Angelis, featured in the special inclusivity edition of EduVerse Newsletter, Issue 22, reminds us how personal stories can open doors to empathy, connection, and understanding. Join Andy and Liz as they explore how weaving biographical learning into classroom practice helps students not only learn about the world, but truly learn from one another.
Welcome back.
I'm Andy.
I'm Liz, and we are your hosts. This is where we cut through the noise, get straight to the heart of complex ideas, and bring you the clearest insights we can.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving into something really fascinating. It's a topic that could genuinely shift how you think about learning, about connection, even language itself.
We're talking about stories. Simple stories, really.
Yeah, the surprising power they have to build, bridges in pretty much any learning environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's packed with practical stuff, whether you're an educator wanting to, shake things up, or a language learner finding your voice.
Or maybe you're just curious about how humans connect.
Exactly. It's about how sharing personal experiences thoughtfully becomes this foundation for real understanding, what some call biographical learning.
A powerful concept.
And our source today, it's genuinely eye-opening. We're digging into an article called Cultural Narratives in the Classroom, Building Bridges Through Biographical Learning.
Right, and this comes from Pano Angelis. He is a lecturer at Deutschland, the Institute for International Communication.
Okay.
And he's really in the trenches teaching job-related language courses, especially for healthcare professionals who trained internationally. So, very practical focus.
That context matters, doesn't it?
Hugely. His background is in German philology, literature, but his day-to-day is all about linguistic integration, intercultural communication, digital teaching, and this idea of narrative didactics.
Using stories to teach.
Essentially, yeah. How to use stories effectively in learning. So these insights, they're tested, they come from real classrooms.
That makes it so much more compelling. Picture this. A typical vocational language class, maybe a bit quiet.
We've all been there.
Yeah. And then a question pops up. What work did you do the longest, and what did it mean to you? Simple, right?
But profound.
Totally. Suddenly someone shares, I was a tailor in Damascus for many years, and the whole room just shifts.
You feel that energy change.
Right. Silence, then real listening. Others start sharing. Bakeries in Kabul, hospitals in Donetsk.
Vegetable shops in Tunis.
Yeah.
Real lives.
Exactly. What started as maybe grammar practice becomes this space where personal histories are the curriculum. People connect. It's amazing.
So what is happening there? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this idea first. Cultural narratives. What are they and why are they so important, especially in a diverse setting like a language class?
Well, fundamentally, we tell stories not just to list events, right? We use them to structure things, make sense of our world.
It's not find meaning.
Exactly. And these stories, they aren't random. They follow cultural patterns. They reflect shared values, what a society thinks is important, what's worth, aiming for.
Okay, I see.
And here's where it gets really interesting, especially in migration context. You have all these different cultural stories meeting. Sometimes there's tension, sure.
But always potential.
Always potential for learning, for seeing things in a new way.
So these narratives, these sort of inner stories people carry, they actually influence classroom dynamics.
Oh, absolutely. Subtly but powerfully. Think about it. One person might carry the story, if I work hard, I succeed. That naturally leads to them jumping in, participating.
Right, proactive.
But someone else might hold on to, maybe without even realizing it, I can do everything, but I'll never really belong. And that might look like silence.
Yeah.
Hesitation.
Holding back.
Yeah. These internal narratives shape how we see ourselves, how we act, if we ask questions, if we feel okay making mistakes.
So when you invite people to share their stories,
it shifts everything.
Yeah.
They go from just receiving information to actively contributing. They're connecting their own life, their knowledge, to the language they're learning. It validates them.
That point about language not being neutral is huge. It makes total sense.
It really does. Language isn't just words. It carries experiences, how we see ourselves, even social structures.
Like the Taylor example.
Exactly. When the tailor from Damascus shares their professional identity, their skill, their pride, they're not just practicing past tense verbs.
No, it's much deeper.
Their identity isn't just refugee.
Yeah.
It's tailor, skilled, experienced. When they can say that, the language exercise becomes resonant. Their lived experience isn't pushed aside, it's welcomed.
Even in, say, a job-focused course where storytelling might seem like a distraction.
Especially there. It might seem secondary, but it actually makes their professional identity visible, validated. That's incredibly powerful for confidence, for really identifying with the language.
Moving beyond just learning words to owning the language.
Precisely.
Okay, so this shift, this potential, it positions storytelling as more than just a nice activity. It's a transformative language tool.
Absolutely. The article frames it as opening doors to authentic expression, to self-efficacy.
That belief you can succeed.
Right. And to belonging. A real fundamental sense of being part of something.
So when learners share personal stuff in the target language, it's not just practice.
It's much more. They're using the language to show who they are. Individuality. That's communication, isn't it?
So what kinds of stories work best? Does it need to be some big, dramatic event?
Not at all. Actually, the article stresses the opposite. Everyday experiences, small moments, those often build the strongest connections. They lower the barrier.
Easier to share.
Exactly. Simple prompts work wonders, like my first day at work.
A moment I'm proud of.
Yeah. Or even something I found difficult. These invite stories without being overwhelming or demanding too much vulnerability right away.
And the grammar just comes along naturally.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You tell a story about the past, you use past tense, you explain why something happened, you use subordinate clauses, you structure the story, you use discourse markers.
So it's embedded, not drilled separately.
Right. It feels much more effective because grammar becomes a tool for expression, not some scary academic thing. It serves the story.
That makes so much sense. Less intimidating, more motivating. Okay, so how do you actually structure this? The article lays out a really practical 3-phase model.
Yeah, it's quite neat. Tell, write, reflect.
Okay, phase 1, telling. How does that start?
With low-threshold prompts. Maybe picture an object that means something, or even a story stone.
A story stone?
Yeah, simple idea. Whoever holds the stone tells their story. Everyone else just listens. No interruptions.
Creates focus and respect.
Exactly. It sets a ritualized tone of attention. Then comes phase 2, writing.
So they write it down?
Collaboratively, usually in small groups.
Yeah.
And they get help sentence starters, maybe cards with discourse markers, time connectors, things to structure it.
Scaffolding.
Right. The group works together, refines the language, improves it, turns individual thoughts into a shared text.
And phase 3, reflecting.
Yeah, back in the main group, they talk about what touched them, maybe interesting expressions someone used, common themes that came up across the stories.
So language isn't just produced, it's thought about, linguistically and socially.
Exactly. It connects the dots.
What about learners who maybe aren't comfortable speaking up or are more digitally savvy?
Good question. The article mentions digital tools too. Things like Storybird, Adobe Express, Book Creator.
A storybook.
Yeah, those kinds. They let learners mix text with images, maybe record narration. Offers different ways in.
Crucial for diverse learners.
Yeah.
Not everyone thrives on just talking.
Right, so someone might shine through writing or visuals. It caters to different styles.
So pulling it all together, what's the big takeaway here for you listening?
It's that storytelling isn't just one thing. It weaves together language development, identity work, social connection. It creates this rich relational experience, something a worksheet just can't do.
It goes beyond information to transformation.
Well put.
But okay, stories need the right environment, right? They don't just happen. Trust is key.
Absolutely critical.
So how do educators create that space? Go beyond the usual worksheets?
Well, the prompts themselves matter. They need to resonate.
Yeah.
Asking about my former profession or a moment of courage or an important decision.
Signals that their life experience is valued here.
Precisely. It shows their story matters. It's not just about the grammar exercise.
And acknowledging different comfort levels is huge too, right? Not everyone wants to talk.
Definitely. Some might prefer drawing, others speaking freely.
Right.
Maybe bullet points or a timeline.
Story posters, symbolic objects.
All great options. Or digital audio recordings. The point is offering choice. The more ways people can participate, the more likely they are to engage genuinely.
Reduces anxiety, lets them be authentic.
Exactly. Maximize participation by offering diverse formats.
I love the practical idea in the article about the story path. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it's a neat classroom activity. Set up different stations, each with a prompt.
Like Station 1, my first day at work. Feelings, challenges.
Right. Station 2 could be a conversation with a supervisor, the topic, how they prepared. Station 3, maybe successful teamwork, what worked, what they learned.
And people contribute. How?
What worked, a sentence. Maybe draw a quick image on a sticky note, perhaps.
Low pressure.
Very. And then, crucially, they choose. Share it aloud. Discuss in pairs. Or just leave their note anonymously on the path for others to see.
Builds a collective narrative, but respects individual comfort. I like that.
It's a great balance.
This feels like it flows naturally into creating really intercultural spaces.
It does, because intercultural learning works best when differences are valued, not hidden.
Storytelling gives voice to that unspoken diversity.
Exactly. Allows those unique perspectives and life paths to actually be heard and enrich everyone's understanding.
But how do you guide those conversations? Differences can be sensitive.
The key is curiosity, not judgment. Making differences visible and meaningful. The article suggests open-ended questions.
Not asking what's right, but
More like, what does professional success mean to you? Or what does respectful interaction look like in your experience?
when is someone successful in your culture? What makes a good colleague?
Biggest challenge at work. What does teamwork mean? Questions like these uncover values, expectations, norms, without putting anyone on the spot morally.
Turns identity from a potential challenge into a shared resource.
That's the goal. It fosters real comparison, reflection, intercultural competence.
And there's another great practical idea, the mini storytelling festival.
Ah, yes, that sounds fun.
Everyone brings a memory, maybe an object tied to it. They share, others listen.
And the feedback is key. Not critique, but connection.
Right. Things like, that touched me because, or I relate to that because, creates a resonance space.
Where language practice meets genuine human understanding.
And a cool follow-up. Collect powerful sentences or quotes from the stories.
Turn them into posters.
Yeah. A class story wall. Makes the shared diversity visible, tangible, builds community.
I love that.
Now, we have to address the vulnerability aspect. Sharing personal stories, it's exposing.
It really is.
So it needs more than just good topics. The educator's attitude is absolutely critical.
Paramount.
Let's dig into that. The article stresses, really stresses, not every story needs telling. Silence is valid participation.
Crucial insight. The teacher's role is listening, not interrogating. Fostering trust. Driven by respect, not curiosity.
It's about voluntary sharing, not collecting biographies.
Exactly. Safety first, data protection. Personal stories are an offer, a gift, not an assignment.
So the principle is, enable stories, don't demand them.
Absolutely. Offer anonymous options. Ensure freedom from group pressure. Have clear rules about how stories are handled, especially vital for anyone with trauma history.
Feeling forced can be re-traumatizing.
Deeply. So let people draw, record, write, even delete if they change their mind. Autonomy and safety are non-negotiable.
The article gives some practical impulses for creating that safety net, too.
Yeah, like stories in a safe space.
Where people write or record anonymously.
Right. Collected by the teacher, then with consent, used as prompts for activities where the source stays hidden. Let's reserve learners participate without exposure.
Smart. And the story box.
Similar idea. People put written notes, drawings, maybe digital files into a box, physical or virtual.
And they're shared anonymously.
Yeah. Teacher or learners draw one out, read it. Discussion prompts like, what moved me? Or what common ground do I see? Keep the focus on the story, not the teller.
Builds belonging and perspective-taking while protecting individuals.
Exactly. And the article flips it back to educators listening now. When have you become a true listener in your classroom? And what changed? A powerful reflection.
It really is. Okay, let's connect this all back to something very practical. Vocational vocabulary.
Right, because sometimes people think storytelling is separate from job skills training.
But the article argues it's the catalyst. Uses that example. I used to work as a baker. We had to prepare the dough every morning at 4 o'clock.
a simple sentence.
But it unlocks a whole world, doesn't it?
It really does, because personal stories introduce job terms, oven, shift work, proofing time, kneading, hygiene rules, not as a dry list.
But in context, linked to real life.
Tangible experience. Their real work, routines, actions, colleagues, even emotions. It activates vocabulary they might already have, but more importantly,
It strengthens linguistic identification. They see themselves in the language.
yes, and that boosts retention massively.
Yeah.
Abstract terms become meaningful, memorable, because they're anchored in personal history.
So the practical tip is, use these stories as gateways.
Exactly. Someone shares about working in a hotel. From that story, the class builds a word field on hospitality.
Organizing vocabulary by tasks, objects, situations.
Check-in, luggage cart, handling complaints. It makes technical language comprehensible, lived language. Connected to their biography, their goal.
Words linked to experience. They stick better.
And are spoken with more confidence. It promotes lasting retention, learner agency. Owning the words, not just remembering them.
It all comes together beautifully. So the core message seems clear.
What stands out to you?
That biographical learning isn't just a technique. It's about creating these social spaces where language builds connection, broadens how we see things, makes learning deeply human.
Couldn't agree more. And thinking bigger, it supports language, yes, but also trust. Trust in your own voice, your own story.
And trust in others listening respectfully.
Which is huge. A quiet but really lasting contribution to inclusion, empathy, community.
So final thoughts for you listening.
We've talked a lot about stories as bridges, transforming learning. What really stands out to you about intentionally making space for these personal narratives? How might you notice the stories already there, maybe unspoken, in your own work or learning environment?
Good question.
And maybe, what quiet steps could you take, starting tomorrow, to create a space where a new story might just begin? What does that space need, really, for that story to feel safe enough to be told and truly heard?
Wonderful questions to reflect on. Thank you for joining us into cultural narratives and the power of biographical learning.
Keep listening. Keep sharing.
We encourage you to stay curious, keep exploring that connection through stories. We look forward to diving deep with you again soon.
What an inspiring exploration of how cultural narratives can transform classrooms into spaces of belonging and connection. A big thanks to Andy and Liz for guiding us through Pano Angelis' article. If you'd like to read the full piece, head over to our website and download the 22nd issue, available now on www.proed.com.vn/eduverse. It's filled with powerful insights and practical wisdom for today's educators. And don't forget, your story matters too. Share your experiences, insights, or practices with EduVerse and let your voice be heard by educators worldwide. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode of the EduVerse PD Podcast, brought to you by ProEd Education Solutions.